Ask yourself the questions to get to the answers you want to know. What do I mean by that? Right? Today's video is called problem solving, and I think the solution to solving most of your problems is super simple. I mean, to be honest, most things in life, most complicated things in life have super simple solutions that we've just overlooked, right? And um, so today we're talking about problem solving, and I believe the solution to that is asking yourself questions. Um, what do I mean by that, and why is that important? Um, and I'm gonna talk about experience I had, what I typically do when I run into problems I need solved, or answers that I have or questions that I have that I want answers to, um, etc. So yeah, um, there's there's no better way to find the solution you're looking for than to start asking questions. So what you should do is remove yourself from everything. Take a deep breath, practice some breathing, step outside, stop getting distracted and overwhelmed by work and all your chores of the day, etc. And maybe the best way to do that is to turn off your phone, or to go outside, or to take a walk, or to go hit the gym or whatever. But in in doing those things, you need to then start asking yourself questions so that you can find the answer. Um, because that's how you're going to find the answer. You usually have the answer, or you usually have an answer for getting you to the answer you want. A lot of times I've found that if I take a walk and I start asking myself questions, I'll realize that, hey, I know someone who does have the answer, or might, and I'll give them a call. And if I hadn't removed myself from all these other distractions that were stressing me out and started asking myself questions, I might not have gotten there. But the best thing you can do is start asking questions, and start asking good questions. And it goes for anything. If you're not happy at your job, then you need to be like, why am I not happy at my job? What would make me happy at my job? What would make me happy outside of my job? Am I is this a problem that can be solved by having a hobby I love, or by changing my job, or by do I need to completely leave my job? And those are all questions. Those are all questions you might need to ask yourself. And so that's why it's so important to ask questions, is because you're going to get to the answer, and eventually you're going to ask yourself the right question. You're going to narrow down the number of statements and the number of questions you have, and one of them is going to be the question you needed to ask. Was really cool because a couple weeks back I had this really big dilemma, really stressing me out. Excuse me, I was like, I have this big decision to make, and there's a lot of pressure on me, and I'm running out of time. Like, I need to make this decision in like 3 or 4 days. And one of the coolest things that helped was my friend was like, hey, dude, just stop and breathe, and tell yourself you can deal with this problem tomorrow, and just sit on it and think about it, and keep doing your life, and don't tell yourself you have to solve it right now. Tell yourself you can solve it tomorrow, right? And now don't get that confused with pushing your problems off, because don't do that. By no means did I plan on pushing this problem off. I was simply telling myself I had time to wait and to deal with the problem tomorrow. It wasn't going to end my life if I didn't solve it now. So don't get that confused with procrastinating, right? Because there's a point where you will procrastinate, and that's bad, versus you need to step away from the problem to actually be able to solve it, because you're just stressing yourself out and not getting anywhere. Um, so, so I had this problem, and in the end, I solved it, and everything worked out perfectly, and the gain was well over the risk, and it just worked out phenomenally, right? But the funny thing was, a couple weeks later, I find myself talking to one of my friends, and she says, "Oh, if you have these problems where you don't know which way to go, what you need to do is set up 2 chairs in your house and sit in one and rattle off out loud while sitting in that chair all the reasons you shouldn't do this thing. Then get up and go into the other chair and rattle off all the reasons you should do this thing. And then go back to the other chair and rattle off all the reasons again that you shouldn't do this thing. And then back to the second chair and rattle off all the reasons out loud that you should do this thing, and go back and forth until you solve the problem. And she goes, and that sounds really dumb at first, but when you do it, it works. And I kind of thought about that and I was like, I bet that would have worked for me, because what I did to solve that problem was I kind of did the same thing. I sat there and even though I didn't quite do it that way, I'd be like, well, this is what happens if I don't do it. This is what happens if I do it. This is the pros, this is the cons, blah, 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 blah. Right? Now, if I'd physically practiced that with my body while vocalizing that and continually gone back and forth with the pros and the cons, or the goods and the bads, or the pluses in this area and the pluses in that area, then yes, I'm like, yeah, I probably would have found out the answer a lot faster. So I really liked what she said and what she had to say in regards to that. That was a great idea. But I want to get back on the subject of ask yourself questions. Super important. That's how you solve problems. The right problems are solved when you ask the right questions. And the only way to ask the right questions is to start asking questions and to start stepping into the problem. So as I get ready to wrap this up, I really want to emphasize the importance and to stress that this is the simple solution to problem solving, is asking questions. This is the simple solution to the success of your life, is asking questions. Am I happy where I am? Am I doing something that makes me feel fulfillment and joy? Do I feel like I have a purpose? Do I feel like I'm on purpose? Do I love this person? Is this person good in my life, etc. Right? You need to ask questions. I can't emphasize that enough. So important. So problem solving, question asking, and that's your takeaway, right? If you could write something down on a sticky note from this video to take away, it's ask yourself questions. Ask yourself questions, and you will find the answer. Thanks for joining me. Hit like, hit subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you guys again. Peace.